Rome. Thousands of years of history. Awe-inspiring. Where gladiators once stood and fought for their lives. But our family also fought for their lives in a horde of people who also thought that visiting the Colosseum in May was a perfect idea because the weather is beautiful. I was so proud of myself. We weren't going to be overheated, the kids were going to do great, but so did everybody else. There was thousands of people. It's the peak of the tourist season, is what I heard many, many times, and it showed. So if you're heading to Rome, especially with kids, you'll want to watch this. We recently got back from a Disney cruise through the Mediterranean with ports throughout Italy. It was unforgettable and at times overwhelming to visit all of these different places in Italy. And one of our port stops for one day was in Rome, where we wanted to see the magnificent Colosseum, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Standing in front of this ancient marvel built thousands of years ago, gladiators once battled and crowds roared, it truly does take your breath away. It is really cool. The sheer scale of the thing, the history, it's incredible. Built from stone and concrete, it's a masterpiece of Roman engineering. Despite centuries of earthquakes and stone robbers and the decay of time, much of the structure still stands today. In 1980, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is one of the most visited attractions in Europe. But here's a reality check. The crowds were something else, so just prepare yourself. It's definitely worth still seeing. Just know you're gonna see it with everybody else on the planet. It felt like a human conveyor belt, and honestly, trying to take it all in while being gently, or not so gently, prodded along by thousands of strangers, that required a whole new level of patience. But for our day in Rome was a 1 day in port. We were in the port of Civitavecchia, which is about an hour's drive from Rome. So if you're cruising, expect to plan for that. If you're not doing an excursion through the ship, which we did not, we tried to do this on our own. So we opted for an Uber because we're American and that sounded like the right thing to do. But let me tell you, that decision came with a hefty price tag. Several $100s round trip. Granted, there are 5 of us. But the train is much cheaper. But our tightly scheduled ticket time for the Colosseum would have made us late if we had taken the train. There is also the Free Now app, which is more common in Europe, especially Italy, to use to get a taxi. And they tend to have fixed fares. I don't know what that fixed fare is, but it may be something you want to look into if you don't want to spend a bunch of money like we did on an Uber. But speaking of ticket times, the Colosseum sells out fast. In the peak season, really fast. We used Viator to book our tour because I did not plan in advance. And so I went to a third party to find tickets since the Colosseum was sold out. And I also opted for the arena access, and we were so glad that we did. Being on that reconstructed arena floor, imagining those gladiators and wild beasts, it gives you such a unique perspective. We did decide to skip the actual underground portion of the Colosseum, and if you have a guided tour in that area, that's great. Knowing you can see that from above, though, pretty well. It's not exactly underground, in most of it anyway, now. So the kids are a ticking time bomb, so when I'm having to compare what we can do in a day, that just was one thing we decided to cut. We looked down, could see it from above. We weren't doing a guided tour because we had a lot of other things to try to hit in 1 day in Rome. And I knew that they're a ticking time bomb before a complete fest starts, so efficiency was key. So we bypassed a guided tour for that reason, but my history-loving heart would love to go back in the off-season for that deep dive someday. Despite the architectural wonder and thousands of years of history, my kid's absolute favorite part of the entire Colosseum experience? A pigeon. Just chilling on the ruins, enjoying the day. I mean, we can see pigeons in the Walmart parking lot for a lot less than flights to Europe, but hey, if it makes the day memorable, I will take it. One thing I worried about beforehand was the audio guide. My kids don't have phones, so downloading the app for them wasn't an option. My solution, I split the AirPods with my history-loving kid, It worked out surprisingly well, but honestly, with the sheer volume of people and the sensory overload, listening to an audio guide was tough even for me. My husband opted out entirely. Our biggest secret to keeping the kids engaged pre-trip prep, we watched the movie Pompeii. It's an older movie about PG-13, think rating, a bit intense, but set in that historical era, and there were lots of more factual than that movie, YouTube videos about the Colosseum and the Roman Empire that made a huge difference for them to understand what they were looking at. So if you're planning a trip to Rome, especially with kids, and if you happen to be around the month of May, be prepared for beautiful weather and even more beautiful people in lots of crowds. But don't let it deter you. We came, we saw, and we learned. So what would I do different? 100% recommend the Colosseum still. I think I would look a little more closely at port excursions. They're guided, they get you to skip the lines, they do the transportation, and you'll just get more out of the day. If you've been to Rome, I want to know when is the best time to go. Let me know in the comments. And now it's your turn to go make those memories.